Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to another beginner's Bible study. I do apologize so long, for taking so long to upload a new beginner's Bible study. Um, it's just been work had me busy, y'all. Work had me busy. But I want to use this time while I'm on Thanksgiving break to do the New Beginners Bible study. And before I begin, I just want to say, pray that you all have a blessful Thanksgiving. Pray that God just blesses you on Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving. Okay, y'all. As you could tell by the title of this video, I titled this because this is the way God gave it to me. Noah, Noah obedience to God. Noah obedience to God, and the book we in is Genesis. When we left off in Genesis. Before I started doing series on my new beginner lessons from my new beginners class, we was in Genesis. So God is taking us back to the book of Genesis, okay? And we in chapter 6 of Genesis, and it talks about the flood. So before I get started, I just want to read y'all an introduction of Noah. And it's going to be two parts. I'm believing it's going to be two parts to this because as I was studying it, it depends on how I go with this. If I'm giving it to y'all a little faster, but it's going to be two parts to this. So I want to read y'all the introduction, and these are just some notes that I wrote down from my Bible study book. And the study Bible that I'm using is Life in the Spirit Study Bible. So I just want to read y'all the introduction. The introduction of Noah. And it says, the story of Noah's life involves not one, but two great and tragic floods. The world in Noah's days was flooded with evil of God's people. Remembered, only Noah remembered let me go back here. Only Noah remembered the God of creation, perfection, and love. God response to the severe situation was 120 years ago. Last chance, during which he had Noah built a graphic illustration of the message of his life. For Noah, obedience meant a long time commitment to a project. Many of us have trouble sticking to any project, whether or not it is directed by God. It is an it is an interesting that the length of Noah's obedience was greater than the lifespan of people today. Our only comparable long-term project is our very lives, but perhaps this is one great challenge. Noah's life gives us to live an entire lifetime of obedience and gratitude. And now it talks about his strength and his accomplishments. Only followed of God left in his generation. He was the only follower of God left in his generation, second father of the human race, man of patience. Noah was a man of patience, consistency, and obedience. First major shipbuilder. He was the first major shipbuilder. His weakness and his mistake. Noah got drunk and embarrassed himself in front of his sons. Life lessons from his life. God is faithful to those who obey him. God does not always protect us from the trouble, but cares for us in spite of trouble. Obedience is a long-term commitment. A man may be faithful, but his sinful nature always travel with him. I'm going to say that again. A man may be faithful, but his sinful nature always travel with him. His versatile statistic, where where we're not told how far from the Garden of Eden people had settled. His occupation, Noah was a farmer, a shipbuilder, a preacher. His relatives, his grandfather Methuselah, and father Lamech. Sons Ham, Shem, and Japheth. His key verse, thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him, so did he. And this is Genesis 6 and 22. The story Noah's story is told in Genesis 5, chapter 5, verse 28, and chapter 10, verse 32. He is also mentioned in First Chronicles 1 and 4, Isaiah 54 and 9, Ezekiel 14 and 14, verse 20, Matthew 24 and 37 and 38, Luke chapter 3, verse 36, and verse 17, 26, and 27, Hebrew 11 and 7, First Peter 3 and 20, and Second Peter 2 and 5. Okay, so now I gave you an introduction of Noah, the history of Noah and his strength and all that. So now we're going to go right into the lesson where we're going to begin at chapter 6. And I'm going to read through the chapters, and then with my study Bible, I'm going to read you what that verse is talking about. In chapter 6, it says, and I just want to let you all know I prayed before I got on here. So I know you usually I start my videos off of prayer, but I prayed before I got on here. So I just want to mention that. And so it says, chapter 6, Genesis chapter 6, the flood. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were being unto them. Verse 2, that the Son of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chosen. Verse 3, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Um, man, okay. So verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the Son of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. Verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Verse 6. And it repented the Lord that he had made men on the earth, and it grieved him as his heart. Verse 7. And the Lord said, I will destroy man. I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air. For it repented me that I have made them. Verse 9. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. So here you have, I want to go back. I want to go back a minute, and it says, and God saw, verse 5 would say, and God saw that the wickedness of men was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thought of his heart was only evil continually. So God see that here it is, these men, but they began to be wicked. They became wicked. So if you can imagine in your mind, like you created every human being, and then you have this, I'm gonna just say you have this city, and in this certain city, there's not, it's just wicked. The men's are just wicked. That's not how God wanted it to be. He, God wanted to be families, but he didn't want the men to be wicked, because if a man is wicked and then he married this woman and have another child, and now you got another seed of wickedness. So he said, God said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things and the fowls of the earth, for it repented me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. So out of all those wicked men, Noah was the one God found favor with Noah. Verse 9. These are the generation of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation, and Noah walked with God. Verse 10. And Noah began 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Verse 11. The earth also was corrupted before God, and the earth was filled with violence. It's kind of like what's going on right now. What's going on? What's going on in our world right now? Verse 12, and God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupted, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Verse 13, and God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before man. And okay, so I want to go back before we get to verse okay, let's just read through verse 18. I'm gonna read through verse 18, and then I'm gonna read to you what each verse what it is talking about. And so, verse 13, and God said, Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. And verse 14, make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shall thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. Verse 15, and this is the fashion where thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. What I like about this part when I was reading this was like God gave Noah instruction on how to build the ark. And not only did he give him instruction on how to build the ark, but he gave him like description. He told him the measurement and everything. It need to be this length, it need to be these cubits, it need to be this height. He gave him not only instruction but detail, like all the measurement, and he laid it out. He laid it out, and Noah was a good listener. It's because that he followed the instruction to a T. Like he crossed every T, every I. He followed it. He had the measurement, everything down packed to a T. Like okay, he told me the the height need to be this height, the length need to be this, the measurement. He told me how to lay this out this. He told me what all he want in the ship. He followed the instruction to a T. And that's how we need to be. Like when God give us instruction to do something, we should not try to find a shortcut, like, that's going to take too long, I'm going to do it this way. No, if you do it the shortcut way, then you're going to miss out on something. You're going to miss something. Something is going to be, your measurement going to be off. But because of Noah follow instruction from God, the measurement, he had everything. That ship was built. It was built to take his family, the animals that he told to put on there. So that's why it's so important that we follow the instruction and the leading of God. When He tell us to do something, okay, I want you to know, do it this way, do it that way. No, don't do it that way, because if you do it that way, you're gonna mess it up. So it is so important that we follow the leading and instruction of our Heavenly Father. And so let's go down to verse 16. And he said, the windows. Now he's talking about the windows. A window shall thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shall thou finish it above and the door of the ark. So now he's telling Noah, I want the windows to be made like this. I want the doors to be made like this. He's just giving him detailed instruction of how he wanted to be. He said, and above in the door of the ark shall thou set in the side thereof with lore. Second, in the third story shall thou make it. Verse 17, and behold, even I do bring a flood of water upon the earth. So God is telling Noah that a flood is coming. A flood is coming. I want you to build this ship. I want you to put your family on there. I want you to put these animals on here. He's telling him a flood is coming. Can you imagine in your mind God tell you a flood is coming? I want you to build a ship. I want you to build an ark for your family. Not only that, I want you to get every creeping thing, and your family and all these creeping things are going to be on this ship. But I just follow my instruction. If you follow my instruction, you will succeed. So, and behold, I do bring a flood of water upon the earth to destroy all flesh, where is the breath of life from under the heavens, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Everything that's it shall die. So God was telling Noah, like, I want you to build this ark. put your family on it, every creeping thing, and whatever else that's around that's living is going to die. It's going to die. Okay, verse 18. But with thee will I establish. So now God is telling Noah, I'm going to establish you. With thee I will establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, then thy wife, and thy son's wife. So he's telling him, your son, your wife, your sons, and your son's wife with thee, and every living thing of the flesh, two of every sort shall thy bring. So saying bring two turtle doves, bring two, I want you to bring two I want you to bring two cows, bring two, I'm just paraphrasing y'all. He said two of every kind. Bring every sort shall thou bring into the ark, do to keep them alive with thee. And they shall be male and what is this? Lamel, male, male and female. Okay. Verse 20. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, two of every sort shall come into thee to keep them alive. Verse 21. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and shall be for food of thee and for them. And so after God told him, build an ark and who all to bring on the ark, now he's telling him the food. He telling him the food that you're going to bring, so for you all to eat, for you to survive. And this is the last verse, and verse 22. Thus did Noah according to all that God command him, so did he. And so now I want to go back, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to start at verse 2. I'm going to read you the notes on verse 2. Verse 2, where he said, Thy son of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives. And that verse is talking about, let me see how many minutes. Okay. The Son of God. The Son of God most likely referred to men who were descendants of the godly lineage of Seth. You can read more about that in Deuteronomy 14, 1 and 32. And it says, they began to intermarry with the daughters of men, women from the ungodly family of Cain. The theory that the Son of God were angels is less likely in view of Jesus' word that angels do not marry. Matthew 22 and 30 and Mark 12 and 25. This union of the godly with the unrighteous led to wickedness. So the reason why it was so wicked is because they was marrying let me go back, the union of the godly with the unrighteous. So they was marrying these women, and they was unrighteous, they weren't godly, so they made, their union became wicked. So that's why it's so important that you need to be careful who you marry, that you're not marrying someone that is you're not marrying someone that's not you supposed to be. You're not supposed to be unequally yoked. You supposed to be with your own kind. You can't go out there in the world and you go grab somebody and marry somebody and you walking in holiness. The way I explained this to one of my friends, and I remember one of my ex-boyfriends, and he wanted to know how come me we couldn't continue to talk, and I told him it's because, I'm sanctified, I'm saved now. And I told him, if I was to talk to you, my mind is going to be on the things of God, and your mind might be somewhere else on something wicked. So that's why, we can't, I told him. And so when I think about this, and I'm saying they was into ungodly, they had an ungodly union. And so that's why it was so much wickedness. And God, he sent the flood to wipe them out. And so now let's go to, it said, the union of the godly with the unrighteous led to wickedness. The godly became preoccupied with evil. As a result, the earth became corrupt and filled with violence and spiritual separation for believers. Verse 5, the wickedness of man was great. And this is verse 5 where it said, and God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the. And that verse is talking about Noah day. In Noah's day, the character of human sin was bluntly manifest in two primary ways: sexual lust and violence. Human depravity has not changed. Through lust and it is still through lust and violence that evil find unrestrained expression. Today, sexual sin of all kind and violence are prevalent in human society everywhere. See Matthew 24, verse 37 through 39, and Romans 1 and 32. So now let's go over to this is verse 6. Verse 6, and it says, and it talks about, and it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth. And that verse is talking about God is revealed in these early chapters of the Bible as a God who deals with people personally and is capable of emotional disappointment and reaction against the willful sin and rebellions of humankind. The word repented indicates that because of the tragic sin of the human race, God's disposition will change towards them. His attitude of mercy and long suffering turn to ones of judgment. And then it says, although God existing character and ultimate purpose remain changeless. 1 Samuel 15:29 and James 1 and 17. He remains open and responsive in his dealing with human. God does not alter his feelings, attitude, action, and mind in accordance with a charge and response to his will. Exodus 32 and 14. And these are a lot of scripture verses. I'm not going to be able to read them all. And then it goes to say this revelation of God as a God who can feel regretted and grief makes clear that God exists in a personal and intimate relationship to his creation. He possession and intense love for human brings in a divine attentiveness to the pledge, the pledge of the human race. And you can read more about that in Psalms 139, 7 through 18. Now we read in chapter 6, verse 9 at the bottom. And let me see. Look at my time. Okay, hold on one second, y'all.